What's going on, everyone? So reports came out that the Denver Nuggets are heavily, significantly was the word that was used, significantly targeting Zach Lavine. They really like the idea of bringing in Zach Lavine for a package centered around Michael Porter Jr. They really want that kind of other shot creator, a guy that can make plays for himself, make plays for others, just be that bucket getter that they really need. Michael Porter Jr. obviously has been great, in particular their championship run, but he's not as great as creating for himself as, say, a Zach Lavine, right? So kind of looking for that. Well, apparently Zach Lavine isn't the only name on that list, as Brandon Ingram has now emerged as a potential suitor for a potential Michael Porter Jr. type trade for the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, again, really kind of want that guy that can create for himself, be a real shot creator, not really necessarily need to completely run and flow through Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, kind of take some pressure off of those two guys, as well as really raise the ceiling. And look, I mean, if you can get either guy, that could be fantastic. Zach Lavine, in my opinion, is just the better natural fit, right? Because he's just easier plug and play, just better, just natural gifted scorer, 3-level scorer, off-ball shooter. He's excellent shooting off ball. Brandon Ingram, obviously, is still very good, but he kind of needs the ball in his hands a little more, not really too great off ball, but gives you size, gives you length, gives you that versatility, particularly out on the perimeter, his ability to, again, take guys off the dribble, give you different looks. He's not as explosive and athletic as Zach Lavine, which I do think, again, kind of gives you that added benefit, because he can kind of just blow by the defender, but also just his athleticism and his ability to get up around Jokic. Can you just imagine him just like zipping by it? Jokic just throwing lobs to Lavine, or he's just getting backdooring his defender and Jokic perfect lob, just hammer dunk, right? And just, again, like, I think it opens up more with Zach Lavine than it does with Brandon Ingram. However, Brandon Ingram, I do think, really does raise the ceiling for the Denver Nuggets and would make them a lot harder to beat. Obviously, Brandon Ingram is hurt right now, but he's expected to be back. Kind of, a bit of a questionable play in which he got hurt on. But also, right, it wasn't likely he didn't break anything or anything like that, so he is expected to be back. And if he can kind of, take the month off or whatever, get back into that role, Denver should be fine. Probably looking closer to the trade deadline. That'll be when, by then, he should either have been back or be very close to returning. So you can kind of make that move. Also, Brandon Ingram gives you more flexibility if you're Denver. Right? One, Zach Lavine just costs more money, and he's on a long-term contract that is very sizable. But Brandon Ingram, he's a guy that is cheaper and is likely going to be cheaper. Right? He wants like 40 or 50 million on his next contract. I don't see a team giving him that. I just don't. I could be completely wrong. Look, I've been wrong before. It happens. But I don't think a team gives him 40, 50 million. I could see him 25 to 30 million, right? I think a team will give him that. But with the new CBA, he's not a number one or number two, really. He's kind of, best probably as a 3. On any given night, he could be your number 1 or number 2 guy. Right? We've seen Brandon Ingram when he's cooking and he's doing, what he can do. Yeah, he absolutely can be that. But on a nightly basis, if he's your number 1 option, you're probably not a great team. If he's your number 2 option, you're probably a good team. If he's your number 3 option, you're probably a great team, right? An actual contender. And that's essentially what he'd be, for Denver. On many nights, he would be your 2nd or 3rd option because Jokic is just that great. And so to kind of pair a Brandon Ingram with a Christian Brown and basically just swapping Brandon Ingram from Michael Porter Jr. So you still have Murray, still have a Christian Brown, Zach Lavine, Aaron Gordon, or not Zach Lavine, Brandon Ingram, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. 3-point shooting is a little bit, because Zach Lavine is just the better 3-point shooter, and particularly at volume. Brandon Ingram can still hit the 3, don't get me wrong, but it's not as much his game. He likes to kind of get to his spots in the mid-range, kind of elevate, shoot over the top, which, again, isn't a bad thing. But between him, Aaron Gordon, Murray can be inconsistent from the 3. Christian Brown is not KCP or anything like that. Now you're trading Michael Porter Jr., who, when he's on, he's on. I mean, how many times have we seen that guy 6 to 10 from 3 or whatever, right? Like, so kind of there are the pros and cons that you definitely have to weigh if you're the Denver Nuggets. But, it gives you the flexibility to sign Brandon Ingram to a new deal, get him around, like I said, 25, 30 million, somewhere in that range. In next season, maybe get some flexibility somehow, some way, kind of retool and get whatever you need. Brandon Ingram, though, I do think gives you that kind of ceiling raise. I do think Brandon Ingram, again, I do think Zach Lavine, and look, I do not want Zach Lavine on Denver. One, for the Lakers' sake. Many of you know I'm a Laker fan. One, for the Lakers' sake. Two, I want him on the Lakers. But three, I mean, even the rest of the league should be, if Zach Lavine goes to Denver, the rest of the league should be on notice. Right, because the type of looks and actions that you can run with Zach Lavine alongside Jokic, it would be unfair at times, right? Like, it's just, it would be ridiculous. But Brandon Ingram, I don't think you can run as many actions. I don't think you have as much, because again, you just don't have the athleticism and explosiveness that Lavine has, as well as that off-ball three-point shooting that Zach Lavine provides. But Brandon Ingram, again, his ability to go be a 25-5 guy, 23-5 guy, somewhere in that range, guy that can make plays for others, get other guys involved, as well as at any point you could have him looking to go close games down the stretch, so it's not all on Jamal Murray. Gives you a guy that can defend, play multiple positions. I mean, you can slot him 2 through 4, really, right? Brandon Ingram, that is. So, again, it gives you a ton of flexibility, ton of different kind of looks and matchups that you can kind of, lineups that you can throw out there to kind of make up for whatever you need based on the opponent, right? So, you need to get a little more size out there. You get a little more size out there. You need to get a little smaller. You get a little smaller, right? Like, you can throw Brandon Ingram at the 2. You can throw Brandon Ingram at the 3. If you want to kind of go a small ball route, right? Like you saw Denver in their championship run, they'd run like Aaron Gordon at the 5, have like Michael Porter Jr. at the 4. Well, you could do, Aaron Gordon at the 5 with Brandon Ingram at the 4, and then have, like a Christian Brown and a Watson and Jamal Murray, and just kind of run this run and gun pace, kind of give you this different look that you just don't currently have, or gives you a guy that can kind of just, again, take pressure off of Jokic, take pressure off of Jamal Murray. Question is, like, they got to make sure, if you're Denver, you got to make sure he's healthy, because you don't want to trade, and you need to make sure that you can get him to commit long term, right? Those are the two probably biggest things if you're Denver, because last thing you want to do is trade Michael Porter Jr., and now you lose Brandon Ingram, and you just basically gave Michael Porter Jr. away for nothing, right? Like, yeah, you'd have some financial flexibility, but not $40 million worth, right? So, if you're Denver, are you kind of, if you trade for Brandon Ingram, Denver might not have a choice but to pay Brandon Ingram $40 to $50 million, right? Like, because again, they wouldn't be able to afford to lose. So, like, for example, I've talked about like the Lakers potentially going after Brandon Ingram, and I've talked about how it's kind of a win-win for them, right? Because Brandon Ingram is a guy that, if he works, great, you can re-sign him, give him a new deal. If he walks and he gets that 40, 50 million, fine, no big deal. You clear off that salary. LeBron James can take a discount. I mean, he was willing to take $20 million this past offseason off, or as much as $20 million off this past offseason. So you could clear like $60 million off your books when all is said and done, right? So if you can do that, that gives you the flexibility to go get another guy or two or several. You just don't have that flexibility with Denver. Right, Aaron Gordon just got a new contract extension, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, you have Jokic, right? Like, you're a first April team. You're probably going to stay a first April team. You probably get a little under if, obviously, Brandon Ingram walks. But even then, it's just like, what are you getting to replace that? What are you getting to kind of take that over? Probably in a rough spot. So, I just think that they wouldn't have the risk to take with Brandon Ingram. Right, so they need to make sure, one, he's healthy, and two, that he's willing to sign, and what is it going to cost to re-sign him? Because if you don't do that and he just leaves, Denver could be in trouble. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, what do you make of Brandon Ingram potentially going to Denver? Do you love the idea? Do you hate the idea? Kind of mixed in the middle on the idea, Brandon Ingram. Do you prefer Zach Lavine? if you're Denver. Like, would you rather have Zach Lavine on Denver? Would you rather have Brandon Ingram on Denver? Again, me personally, I'd rather have Zach Lavine. I just think it's a better natural fit. Do you think, like, no, you shouldn't go either, stay the course, go a different direction? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.